Welcome to the College Football Bros. I'm Michael Newman.
I'm Ryan Newman.
And I'm Trey Newman.
All right, in this episode, I am going to rank the projected starters in the ACC at quarterback. Over the next several days, we're going to rank the rest of the Power 5, as well as the G5 and independent quarterbacks, the top ones. So be sure you're subscribed. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. We are very close. I think we're like 40 or 50 away, so would appreciate if you help us get there. Also, let us know your biggest disagreements in the comments below, because this is just my list, so don't blame Ryan or Trey for this. But Ryan and Trey, you guys are going to have your chance at the end to give me some crap as well. So let's get right into it.
All right. Number 14, dead last here, from Duke, Gunnar Holmberg. So what are you thinking putting him last, which, you know, no big disagreement, but
yeah, he's not a lock to start, but he is the favorite there. And Duke's quarterback play has just been pretty bad recently. Even Daniel Jones didn't put up great numbers, and he's, of course, a high NFL draft pick. So I'm not expecting much from Holmberg. He's a junior with 25 career pass attempts. Maybe he's good. Maybe he's we haven't seen him. We don't know. So that's, for me, why he's 14th.
Yep. Moving on to one that might raise a few eyebrows. Number 13, you have Kenny Pickett of Pitt.
Yeah, I think this one is going to be controversial because people often praise his tools and talk about him as an NFL prospect, which may be the case, but he's been the starter at Pitt for 3 years, and their pass offense has been consistently bad. He's had 13 touchdowns and 9 interceptions each of the past 2 seasons. He's not efficient. I thought Mark Whipple coming in as the offensive coordinator might help things, but at least so far, the stats have still been fairly inefficient. So I could see having him a few slots higher, but I don't think 13th is crazy, just given the 3-year track record.
yeah, it kind of is who he is at this point. All right, moving on here to number 12. You had Jeff Sims from Georgia Tech. So based off of the ranking here, maybe you're not expecting a huge sophomore leap from him?
I mean, but I think I kind of am expecting a sophomore leap. I think it just speaks more to the depth of quarterbacks in the ACC. Like, there's just a bunch of guys that have kind of proven to be decent or pretty good ahead of him. And last year, was bad overall, like statistically. 55% completions, threw way too many interceptions. But there are great excuses for it. He was, like I said, he was a true freshman, which in a COVID offseason, having to learn the playbook and get thrown to the Wolves right away, that is very tough. And thrown to the Wolves because Georgia Tech is still in the midst of that transition to a more, normal spread offense. So not a great situation at all to be put in. I thought, considering that, it was fine, and he showed flashes. I think he could make a big jump this year. If he makes like a gigantic leap, then 12 will be low. But even a leap to 11, 12, I think would be a nice step in his sophomore year.
Agreed. All right, moving on to number 11, you have Brennan Armstrong for the Wahoos of Virginia.
Yeah, he was solid last year when healthy. He's a good runner. He's no Jeff Sims, I don't think, in that department, but he's definitely very capable. And the passing stats were decent. The big issue with him is ball security. He had one of the highest interception rates in the conference last year, so he'll need to be better there. But if he cleans that up, then 11th could end up being a little bit too low.
All right, let's move on to their rivals. Virginia Tech's Braxton Burmeister you have at 10th.
Yeah, I feel like just saying that name, Braxton Burmeister, almost it sounds like he's bad. But and so Virginia fans, I think, are not going to like the fact that I have him ahead of Brennan Armstrong, and I get that. But he's only had 85 pass attempts last year, partially because of injury. So he's really proven nothing since transferring from Oregon. But he is, again, a solid runner. That feels like a theme here, but this is kind of a belief in Justin Fuente. He generally gets solid quarterback play. He liked Burmeister enough to start him over Hendon Hooker at the beginning of last year. Yeah. I mean, I disagreed with that. It looks bad in hindsight, but still, I think he has some belief in Burmeister. And at the end of the season, he had a couple nice showings against Clemson, and Virginia fans remember against them. So I'm slightly optimistic about it.
Yep. Number 9, you have Tommy DeVito of Syracuse, kind of a guy a couple years ago we probably thought might even be higher on this list.
Yeah, I think I'm probably higher on him than most people would have him here. He's the favorite. He's also not guaranteed to start. They did add Garrett Schrader, a transfer from Mississippi State, but yeah, I think DeVito's pretty good. He's been behind some really bad O-lines, especially last year. It was just awful. That's what got him hurt. But in 2019, he had 19 touchdowns to 5 picks, 63% completion, 7 yards per attempt. Like, considering the situations he's been put in, I think he's done pretty well for what's, like I said, for the situation.
Yeah, for sure. All right, move on here to number 8. We haven't seen this kid for a couple years. McKenzie Milton, now surfacing at Florida State.
Yeah, he is, of course, the very likely starter, but I would expect Jordan Travis to get some snaps as a change of pace as well. Milton is tough to rank because, of course, he led UCF to 2 undefeated seasons, then had that horrific leg injuries, been sitting out the last couple years. I feel like no one's going to really yell at me for this ranking. Like, I acknowledge if he's back to himself, then he would be whatever, second or third on this list or challenging for number 1. But you just don't know if he is back to himself. So I kind of have him behind. You'll see when we get to this top 7. It's a really good top 7, so it's not that much of an insult to slot him in right behind them.
Yep. I hope he has a kind of Alex Smith type year bounce back. That would be great.
Mm-hmm.
Number 7, you have Sam Hartman from Wake.
Yeah, he ended the season horribly last year. He had that big long streak without interceptions, and then the final game or 2, especially that bowl game, was bad.
Yeah.
But still, overall, a solid year. And he's got a really, really good receiving core, arguably the best in the ACC, certainly up there. But I don't know. I guess I still have him 7th because their passing success rate was middle of the pack in the ACC last year. They did have a lot of explosive plays. That's something that kind of has a lot of variance from year to year. So if he's able to keep hitting on some of those deep balls and he gets a lot of yak particularly from Jaquari Roberson. But yeah, I like Hartman, but I guess I don't love him.
Fair. All right, number 6, we have Devin Leary, crosstown rival from Sam Hartman at NC State.
Yeah, he is an example of why it's never a good idea to give up on guys after their freshman year. I don't think anybody did, but he was
I was guilty.
Oh, were you? Okay. I mean, I probably did too, honestly. I probably was down on him.
I would never do that.
Yeah, of course. No, we learn doing these rankings every year that you can't throw a guy in the away just after one bad year. But because last year came out of the gate in his sophomore year really strong, 8 touchdowns, 2 picks, 8.1 yards per attempt. The team was 3-1, and then he broke his leg, unfortunately. But if he's back to full strength and plays like he did to start last year, then I think this is a good spot for him.
Yep. All right, moving on to Boston College's Phil Jurkovec. I feel like there's a name that everyone will butcher.
Yeah, I think you got it there.
Sounded good.
Boston College was 3rd in the ACC in passing success rate last year, only behind Clemson and North Carolina. So that's a pretty damn good start, and especially since he had just transferred from Notre Dame. So that's his first year with a whole new coaching staff, new offense. I think he'll take a jump forward this year, and he definitely has a chance to this. I feel like this is almost his floor on the list, 5th. I could see him rising for sure.
Yeah, I like Jurkovec. All right, moving on. Number 4, we have Malik Cunningham from Louisville.
Yeah, so again, maybe I'm higher on him than most, but first off, he is a really good runner, so that is a trait that's going to be there. And he's got 9.4 yards per pass attempt in his career. He's been efficient throwing downfield, according to Pro Football Focus. So even though last year was a little bit of a down year, he threw too many picks, I still think he's good. And we'll see how the offense handles losing some of his top weapons. So that might be a little bit of a struggle. So if he doesn't bounce back from last year, then maybe my optimism in him will be unfounded. But I don't know. I just look at his career stats and watching him play, some of the electric plays he makes, I'm a fan.
Yep. Moving on to number 3. It's been Michael's favorite for what seems like 10 years now, but D'Eriq King of Miami.
Yeah, he's awesome. We saw the insane numbers he put up at Houston, transfers to Miami, which had been a struggling offense, not explosive at all, and he turned them into a pretty good offense along with Rhett Lashley's coaching. The big question is the health. He injured his ACL, tore his ACL at the end of last year. So if he were healthy, I might have him second on this list. I just kind of docked him one spot for that.
Yeah, I think that's fair. All right, we're going to number 2, a guy who's only seen him a couple of times here, DJ Uiagalelei from Clemson.
Yeah, he, of course, a former 5-star recruit, was a true freshman last year and came in to replace Trevor Lawrence in 2 starts against Boston College and Notre Dame. Played extremely well, especially up against a really tough Notre Dame defense. It wasn't his fault they lost the game. They put up a bunch of points. So what's not to like? He's just going to be the next in line with, Deshaun Watts, Taj Boyd, Deshaun Watts, and Trevor Lawrence, all those guys. I feel like he's just the next one.
Yep, definitely set up for success there. And then number 1, Sam Howell of North Carolina.
Yeah, I have him first just because he's more proven than Uiagalelei. He's been the starter, of course, for a couple years now. Last year, 68% completions, 10.3 yards per attempt, 30 touchdowns, 7 picks. He's got an argument for number 1 quarterback in the country. Yeah. We'll get to that, of course, in the last episode in this series. The only question mark is the offense lost a ton of skill talent around him. I know we're kind of trying to separate the quarterbacks from their situation here and rank them in a vacuum, but it can be hard to do that sometimes. But yeah, that's literally the only question mark is just losing his top receivers.
Pretty good list, I'll say, Michael. That wasn't, I don't have any huge kind of gripes, I guess. Maybe my biggest gripe. I'm just getting right to it. I'm not even letting you prose this question here.
Yeah, go for it.
I would have Tommy DeVito a little higher. I'm a DeVito guy. Just because of, like you said, we're trying to do it, rank these QBs in a vacuum, like trying to assess, like, hey, the situations they're in. 19 touchdowns, 5 picks a couple years back to me was like Tua numbers from Alabama, just because of considering what he had around him. So I think Tommy DeVito is actually really good. If you put him with so I think he should be ahead of. I like him overall better than like maybe Malik Cunningham, who has had really good receivers and really good explosive players around him. I think DeVito in that would be awesome. So I'd probably say DeVito might be maybe my biggest gripe, but pretty good otherwise.
I think if I had a gripe, and I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm maybe a little more bullish on him, and I think Jeff Sims has the most of the bottom half of the guys. I think he has the most upside, and I don't really like guys kind of in that 9 to 14 range. I don't really see them moving much, except for him. I think he's the one that could sneak into the top 7 or something if he takes to the system and they kind of the Yellow Jackets improve a little bit. But what was surprising overall though was I was just amazed that kind of that top half of the ACC, like 1 through 8, is a very solid group. I mean, when you've got Hartman and McKenzie Milton as 7 and 8 or whatever, it's a pretty solid list.
It's a good group.
It's a really good group.
Great.
No, I think I do. I think the ACC is in. I know this is the first conference we've done. Be sure to keep watching throughout the week, but they're in the running for the best group of quarterbacks. Like, this is a very impressive list. Like, I know I'm lower on Pickett than most. I had him 13th. So, but to have Kenny Pickett 13th shows you something.
3-year starter who's won some games. So,
yeah. Okay. Well, that's it. Again, let us know in the comments. I'm sure there's some disagreements there. Thanks for watching our ACC episode. We're going to be back tomorrow with our Big 12 quarterback rankings. So we will see you then.
You've been watching the College Football Bros. Be sure to subscribe here on YouTube and in your podcast app for college football content all year round. For bonus episodes and access to our Discord chat, join our Patreon at patreon.com/collegefootballbros. Thanks for watching.